My coworker reported me to HR for stealing her clients, and now I'm finding out she's been lying about me for months. I, 25F, have been at my current job for about 8 months. It's a mid-size marketing agency, maybe 60 people total, and I work on the account management side. When I started, a woman I'll call Dana, she'd been there 4 years, very established, very well liked, was assigned to onboard me. Show me the ropes, introduce me to clients, walk me through the software. Standard stuff. I genuinely liked her at first. She brought me coffee on my second day and remembered that I'd said I didn't take sugar. Little things like that. The way our commission structure works is kind of complicated, and honestly I still don't fully understand all of it, but the basic version is this: you have your assigned clients, you manage them, and you get a percentage of whatever they bring in. If a client you're managing upgrades their package or adds services, that commission goes to you. If a client transfers from one account manager to another, the commission follows the client. This matters a lot for what I'm about to explain. About 3 months into my job, a client I'll call Marcus, a small business owner, reached out directly to me. Not to Dana. To me. He'd been Dana's client for about 2 years, but he emailed me specifically because we'd met briefly at a networking event my company had sent me to. He said he liked how I explained things and wanted to work with me going forward. I was honestly kind of flattered, but also immediately nervous, so I went to my manager Greg that same day and told him exactly what happened. Greg said it was Marcus's choice who he worked with, that clients have that right, and that I should just document the conversation and proceed normally. So I did. I took Marcus on as a client. I sent Dana a heads-up message that same afternoon, kept it professional, something like, "Hey, wanted to let you know Marcus reached out to me directly and Greg approved the transfer, hope that's okay." She replied with no worries. And a smiley face. That was 5 months ago. Last Tuesday, I got called into a meeting with Greg and someone from HR named Patrice. My stomach dropped the second I walked in and saw both of them sitting there with printed documents on the table. Patrice told me that a formal complaint had been filed against me, that I had allegedly been systematically poaching Dana's clients by going behind her back and soliciting them at outside events. The complaint mentioned 3 clients by name. Marcus was one of them. The other 2, I'll call them Bright Solutions and a guy named Tom, I had also picked up, one in month 4 and one in month 6, both of whom had come to me directly after interacting with me at company-sponsored events. I just sat there for a second. I think I said something like, "I'm sorry, what?" And Patrice gave me this look and said they had to take all complaints seriously and that this was just the beginning of their process. Greg wasn't saying anything. He was just staring at the table, which didn't feel great. I told them everything. I explained that in every single case, I had gone to Greg directly first. That I had documentation. That I had texted and emailed Dana about Marcus. Patrice wrote things down and said they'd be reviewing everything. The meeting ended, and I went back to my desk and sat there for probably 20 minutes just staring at my screen, because I genuinely did not understand what was happening. I went back through my emails that night. I have the email from Marcus. I have the message I sent Dana. I have a Slack message to Greg. For Bright Solutions, I have a whole email thread where I literally CC'd Greg before I even responded to them. For Tom, same situation. I have everything. But here's where it gets complicated. While going through everything, I found something I hadn't really registered at the time. Back in month 3, maybe a week before the Marcus situation, Dana had forwarded me a helpful email about our commission policies. I remembered reading it and thinking it was kind of random, but I'd assumed she was just being thorough. Looking at it now, the email she forwarded me was an older version of the policy. Not the current one. The current policy, which I found in our internal portal, has different language around what counts as solicitation. The version she sent me would have made what I did look more borderline. I don't know if that was intentional. I genuinely don't know. But it's been sitting in my stomach in a way I can't shake. Then yesterday, one of my other coworkers, I'll call her Priya, pulled me aside near the coffee machine. She looked uncomfortable and said she didn't want to get involved, but she thought I should know that Dana had been venting to people on the team for months. Apparently Dana had been telling people I was aggressive and cutthroat and that I was trying to undermine her. Priya said she'd been saying this since around month 2. Month 2. I had barely been there a month when Dana was apparently already telling people I was some kind of threat. I said, "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Priya just kind of shrugged and said, "Nobody wanted to get in the middle of it." I went home and couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that coffee with no sugar on my second day, whether that was genuinely nice, or whether I was being read and assessed from the very beginning. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I emailed Patrice that morning and asked if I could submit documentation to support my side of the story. She replied and said yes, and that they'd schedule a follow-up meeting for the next week. I also replied to an email from Greg asking for a check-in, and he said he was tied up this week and would circle back. He's been to Dana's desk twice today that I could see from where I sit. I don't know what I'm walking into next week. I have all my documentation organized in a folder. I have the Slack messages. I have the emails. I have the message I sent Dana about Marcus, complete with her smiley face response. But I also have this creeping feeling that this has been going on for a long time, that some version of my reputation in this office was being constructed before I even knew there was a story being told about me. And I have no idea how far it goes, or who believes what. I haven't confronted Dana. I don't know if I should. I see her in the office and she smiles at me and says normal things, and I smile back and say normal things, and then I go back to my desk and feel like I'm losing my mind all over again. Priya said she'd be willing to tell HR what she told me, but she didn't want to make it a whole thing. I don't know if I can count on that. The thing that's really getting to me is Greg. Greg approved every single transfer. Greg was the one who told me clients have the right to choose their account manager. If this goes badly, what happens to his part in it? Does he just get to sit quietly? Is he going to throw me under the bus to protect himself? I've been trying to read him all week and I can't get anything. He's cordial. He's fine. He's not giving me a single thing. My meeting with HR is next Wednesday. I've been putting everything into a Google Doc, a full timeline, screenshots, and a folder with every relevant email and Slack message organized by client and by date. I just don't know if having the receipts is enough when the other person has had months to control the narrative. And I still haven't figured out what to do about that policy email Dana forwarded me. If she sent me the wrong version on purpose, what does that say about what she was planning even back then? And if I bring it up, am I going to look paranoid? Like I'm reaching? I don't know. I don't know what I know anymore. Wednesday can't come fast enough, and I'm also absolutely dreading it. Update 1. Okay, so Wednesday happened. I'm writing this from my car in the parking garage because I needed a minute before going back upstairs, and I don't know, writing it out helps me process. The meeting was me, Patrice, and a guy from HR I hadn't met before named Clifford, which is a name I'm choosing to focus on because it's genuinely grounding me right now. No Greg. I asked where Greg was, and Patrice said he'd already been interviewed separately. That landed weird. I had printed everything. Like, everything. I had a tab folder. I had the timeline printed out across 2 pages. I had the policy document Dana forwarded me and the current policy pulled up side by side with the differences highlighted. I wasn't sure if bringing the policy comparison was going to make me look paranoid, but I decided at around 11 p.m. the night before that I had to bring it. I had to show them and let them decide what it meant, because sitting on it felt worse than anything else. Patrice actually stopped me when I got to that part. She looked at Clifford, then back at me, and said, "Can you walk me through the difference in the language again?" So I did. The old version Dana forwarded me used the word initiate in a way that was much broader. Being present at an event where a client later contacts you could technically be read as initiating contact, depending on how you interpreted it. The current version is far more specific. It's about direct outreach, about going to a client and actively asking for their business. What I did falls clearly under the current policy. Under the old one, it would have been a lot murkier. Patrice asked me when I received that email from Dana. I told her the date. She wrote it down and underlined it. I said, "I'm not saying she did it on purpose. I genuinely don't know. But I thought you should have it." Clifford said, "You did the right thing bringing this." And then, this is the part that's been rattling around in my head all morning, Patrice said, almost carefully, "This isn't the first thing we've looked at this week." She didn't say anything else. I didn't push, because I was scared that if I pushed she'd close up. But that sentence is just sitting there. What else did they look at? What does that mean? Is Dana in some kind of separate trouble? Did Greg say something that changed things? Did someone else come forward? I gave them everything. The whole folder. They made copies of the printed documents, and Patrice said she'd reach out within a week with next steps. On my way out, Clifford held the door for me and said, "Thanks for being so organized." Which maybe means nothing, but felt like something. I got back to my desk and Dana was in a meeting in the glass conference room. She was laughing at something. She looked completely fine. I made myself a cup of tea, answered emails, and did not look in the direction of that conference room for the rest of the afternoon. Priya caught me before I left for the day. She said, "How'd it go?" And I said I thought okay, and she nodded. Then, kind of quietly, she said, "I talked to them yesterday." I said, "You did?" She said, "Yeah. They reached out to me. I didn't go to them, they came to me. I just want you to know I told them the truth." I said, "Thank you," and I meant it. Then I got in the elevator, came down to my car, and sat here for the last 15 minutes typing this out. I still don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this isn't the first thing we've looked at means. I don't know what Greg said when they interviewed him. I don't know if Dana has any idea that any of this is unraveling, or if she's still just laughing in conference rooms thinking she's completely fine. I have a week to wait, and I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. Update 2. I don't even know how to start this one. It's been 5 days since the meeting. HR hasn't reached out yet, still within the week they said, but every time my email pings, I have a small cardiac event. That part is the same. What's different is Greg. Greg asked me to grab coffee with him this morning. Not in the office, he specifically said off-site. We walked to the place around the corner, and he got a black coffee and I got nothing, because my stomach was already in knots. He sat down across from me and said, "I owe you an apology." I just waited. He said that when the complaint first came to him, apparently Dana went to him before she went to HR. He said it was a few weeks ago, he didn't handle it right. He said he told Dana that the transfers had all been above board, that he had approved everything, and that he didn't think she had a case. He thought that was the end of it. He didn't tell me any of this was happening. I said, "Greg, I've been sitting at my desk for a week not knowing if I was about to get fired." He said, "I know. That was wrong. I should have told you." I asked him why he didn't, and he kind of looked at the table and said something about not wanting to escalate things unnecessarily. Which, I mean, I'm still annoyed about it. I'm allowed to be annoyed about it. But then he told me some other things, and I've been turning them over in my head all day. He said that when HR came to him as part of their review, he told them everything. Every approval he gave me, every conversation, every time I'd come to him before taking on a client. He was clear that I had done nothing wrong. He also said, and this is where it got kind of surreal, that HR had come to him with a specific question about whether Dana had ever been warned about her conduct toward newer employees before. He didn't answer that question directly when I asked. He just said, "This isn't the first time Dana has had friction with someone new." I said, "What does that mean? What happened before?" He said he couldn't really get into it. But he said it in a way that made it very clear there was something to get into. So apparently I'm not the first person. Whatever Dana did, or does, or has been doing, I'm not the first person it happened to. And somehow she's still there, 4 years in, well-liked, laughing in conference rooms. I keep thinking about whoever came before me. Whether they had documentation. Whether they left. Whether they're fine now, or whether it derailed something for them. I have no way of knowing, and it's making me feel this strange mix of less alone and also kind of sick. The other thing Greg said, right before we left, was, "You should hear something from HR by Thursday. And I think it's going to be okay." He said it like he knew something. Like he'd been told something he wasn't going to pass along to me directly. I don't know if that's reassuring or if it's just going to make the next 3 days unbearable. Probably both. Dana said good morning to me in the hallway today. I said it back. She had a new tote bag. I noticed because I was looking anywhere except her face. Thursday. Update 3. HR emailed me at 4:47 p.m. on Thursday. I saw it come in while I was in the middle of a call with a client. I had to finish the call, and then I sat there for probably 4 minutes before I opened it. The complaint against me has been dismissed. Formally, officially, in writing. No findings of misconduct. Case closed. I read it 3 times. Then I read it a 4th time. The email from Patrice was professional and brief. It said the investigation had concluded, that my documentation had been reviewed, that I was cleared, and that if I had any questions I was welcome to schedule a call. That was basically it. I texted Priya a single, "Thank you," and she sent back a thumbs up and then said, "You deserve it." Here's the thing, though. And I don't know why I'm surprised, but I am. Dana is still here. I don't know what, if anything, happened on her end. HR obviously isn't going to tell me. She was at her desk Friday morning. She said happy Friday to the general office area, like she always does. She had a birthday card on her desk that a few people had signed. I didn't sign it. I had not been asked to sign it. I genuinely don't know if she was disciplined, if she was warned, if anything happened at all. I don't know if she knows the complaint was dismissed. I don't know if she's been told there's a record now, that this isn't the first time, that whatever she's been doing has been documented. I have no idea. I thought getting cleared would feel like more. Like a door closing. Like something finally resolving. And in some ways it does. The physical weight in my chest is lighter, and I slept properly for the first time in almost 2 weeks. But I came into work Friday and Dana was just there, and I was just there, and we're still going to be in the same office. I still don't know what she actually knows, or thinks, or is planning. I still don't fully understand why she targeted me specifically in the first place, or what I did in month 2 to make her decide I was a threat. Marcus emailed me Friday afternoon about expanding his account. I started drafting the proposal. I CC'd Greg out of habit, even though I don't think I have to anymore. I don't know what happens from here. I don't know if Dana tries something else. I don't know if having this on record protects me or just makes me a target. I don't know if I trust Greg the way I did before, even though he did the right thing in the end, because he also sat quietly for a week while I was panicking. I don't know if the friendliness in this office is real, or what's underneath it. I've only been here 8 months. I thought I was starting to get the hang of it. I really thought I was starting to get the hang of it. Hi there, if you made it so far. Consider dropping a like and maybe subscribing. Thanks. And have a nice one.